Focus today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And if you listen to this program often, you'll know that we talk a lot about business and the markets and these kinds of things, obviously very concerning. I'm very delighted to have with us today Bruce de Torres. He is the Director of Communications for American Small Business League and Don't Cheat Women Project. Yeah, he's an entrepreneur, podcaster, former marketing director for a publishing company, has a website, ASBL.com, and there's the picture of the landing page, ASBL.com, which is the American Small Business League. So, Bruce, good to see you today. How are you, friend?
I'm well, Perry, and yourself?
Great. Thank you for your time. This is good stuff. All right, diving right into it, the latest report on the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed that we added about 911,000 jobs, fewer than what was originally reported. What does this mean, and why is it important?
It means a lot. It means that the federal government is not supporting small businesses the way that it should. It's important because, Perry, we are a small business nation. A lot of people don't comprehend that basic fact. 99.9% of all businesses in America are small businesses. And in a more perfect world, the federal government would invest 99.9% of its efforts to support small businesses. And unfortunately, the opposite is true. It's really corporate captured, and everything we do and everything we could talk about today, Perry, about job creation, everything comes back to small businesses.
I get it. I'm a champion of it. I try to do my best to underscore this interest. My concern is the concern you have. Why don't we understand that small business is still the #1 employer in the United States?
What a great question. You know, Perry, if more congressmen and senators and candidates and everyone of influence understood that we are a small business nation, it would turn things around. The reason we don't is because of the corporate capture of our media, the corporate capture of our politicians, the corporate capture of the institutions of power at the federal and state level. That's why it's largely unknown how important small businesses are. And our major thing is that there are many points that we make, but particularly it's the fact that small businesses are responsible, depending on your source, for 2/3 of all net new job creation. Sometimes it has even been acknowledged up to 95% of all net new jobs are created by small businesses. And the emphasis on the markets, the emphasis on Wall Street, the emphasis on the big billion-dollar deals with billion-dollar companies is all to hoodwink us and distract us to be thinking about the giant corporations and not understand what the federal government ought to be doing for small businesses. And that's what, I'm in the business of communicating.
Yeah, no, I get it. Can we include in small businesses small farmers?
Well, absolutely. And I know I was on your show a few months ago, and I think that's your background, right? Is that
a little bit?
Remind me.
A little bit.
Okay.
Remind me. Farming to broadcast, that's another story. But no, but I'm really concerned about all this, Bruce, because what's so interesting to me is that we're squeezing this group down. You add to that regulations, but what's been so interesting to me is this. When the job numbers come out on I think the first Friday of the month or second Friday, by the end of the month it's been adjusted. How can we trust these numbers?
Well, it's a fair question to folks who aren't aware that that's a regular thing. That's a routine thing, I believe, going back as far as it's been measured, because improved stats and statistics get analyzed in Crunch and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. My impression is regularly. It's no new thing, but it seems to be to President Trump, and he's crying foul because of the adjustments. they get adjusted because more information rolls in over the subsequent weeks. I think they're revised maybe in real time, maybe every month they look back and revise things. I dug into that when it got notorious a month or two ago, and it's still in the news about, oh boy, because Trump's accusing foul, they're being mean to Republicans and me personally. But apparently they regularly revise the numbers. It doesn't seem to be the political attack that it's accused of being.
As we see the consolidation, Bruce, of large businesses becoming bigger and bigger, you wonder if the monopoly rules come into play here, or is this just outside those regulations?
I would have to study that to give a very specific question to a really great question of yours, Perry. Suffice to say, the administration is facilitating the momentum of decades, which is to labor on behalf of the country's biggest businesses, sometimes the world's biggest businesses, and to excite people to learn about this. Thank you for mentioning my site before. ASBL.com. The particular mission we've been on for decades, and then we have a new project, Don't Cheat Women. If I could take a minute or so, I just want to lay the foundation about these things.
Yeah.
The federal government is supposed to steer 23% of all federal contract dollars to small businesses. And the SBA, Small Business Administration, is responsible for that. And every year they declare victory. They say, we met that goal, we exceeded the goal, how about a loan? Unfortunately, for decades, we have found in our 100+ legal victories that billions of dollars in small business contracts go to the country's biggest businesses. It's really a bit of a scam. And dozens of congressional investigations have found the same thing. And many reports from the SBA's own Office of Inspector General has found the same thing. There's when you see how they categorize businesses and how they exclude federal agencies from the overall contracting total, there's a great case to be made that as much as 97% of the federal procurement budget, $800 billion projected in 2025, goes to the 0.1% of companies that are big businesses. And the 99.9% of all businesses that are small businesses, Perry, get as little as 3 or 4% of the contract dollars that they're supposed to. Now, here's where it goes right to the job creation issue. The big companies that get those contracts, they don't create one new job to perform that work. They're already big. But small businesses would create millions of jobs every year if they got the contract dollars they are supposed to. In 2010, the chairperson of the Senate Small Business Committee said, for every 1% increase of federal contracts to small businesses, 100,000 jobs get created. If the 23% of those contract dollars actually went to small businesses, that would be 2.3 million new jobs, on top of the more or less 2 million jobs America creates every year. An economic boom, Perry, with no new taxes, no new spending, bipartisan, poured into Main Street, raising the economy as a whole everywhere.
Wow. Do you think large corporate America may be painting themselves into a little bit of a corner with AI?
Yeah, the human race, we might be painting ourselves into a corner with AI. It certainly seems to be aiding and abetting all the forces that are eliminating jobs, that are consolidating businesses, that are causing us to work from home, and the shrinking and the pressures that are shrinking small businesses. And that's my succinct answer to that. That's our impression. Yeah.
I'm also seeing, Bruce, a shift in the types of small businesses, and a little bit of a case in point. Retail is quickly being replaced with online and big box stores. So small retailers are going out of business. But trades, small businesses that offer trade services, electricians, plumbing, et cetera, HVAC, those seem to be growing. Is that a safe assessment?
I'll take your word for it. That's my impression as a layperson. I haven't crunched it in my position here at the American Small Business League.
Well, the only reason I bring that up because I watched the shift. I watched small little strip malls that kind of changed their complexion from small retailers to more service-oriented businesses. So there's a shift going on. But to your point, I also am worried about how can I say this? The challenge, the stepping out and taking the risk as an entrepreneur to start a business is diminishing. I mean, America is really built upon people taking that risk and having that dream of owning their own business, but it's getting harder and harder.
I have that impression, yet I also see reports that new businesses have been created, but here's a huge factor in the mix to discuss in many, many ways. It's the fact that something like 2/3 of all businesses are solopreneurs. They are non-employer firms, meaning it's one person conducting business. And I absolutely agree and see that retail is shrinking, so much being driven online, and the social cost to that, and I say the psychological cost to that, is immense because it alienates us from the people in our communities, and that's been tracked for decades. The harmful effect of our alienation from each other, as measured by folks in apartment buildings for years who have literally never met their neighbor on either side of themselves. And it tracks, or it's consistent with the measures of the despair, the depression, the drug addiction, the video addiction, the porn addictions, and the suicidal ideation and attempts and actual, suicide. So everything that could, empower us to be able to live and work and trade, socialize and conduct commerce and actually buy and sell and barter or whatever is good for the human race.
ASBL.com is Bruce's website. One more quick question before I got to go here. What is Don't Cheat Women? What is that project?
It is a very exciting tip of the spear that introduces all these concepts to anybody. We have a great site, don'tcheatwomen.com, no apostrophe. And it's our mission to raise from 5% to 15% the federal contract dollars that ought to go to women-owned small businesses, and how that would help all small businesses and the economy in general, and a whole aspect of women's political empowerment, which follows their economic empowerment to approach political and economic fairness and equality.
All right, don'tcheatwomen.com. Check that out. Check out Bruce's main website, American Small Business League, which is ASBL.com. Good to see you, friend. Stay in the fight. We need you there.
Thank you so much.
All right, good to see you.